This video is sponsored by AMPAURA. I'm here at the AMPAURA Pureia, and this is a portable power station that I've been testing, and in this video I'm going to share not only a brief overview of this device, but also how this device performed in the various tests that I did, so stick around. When it comes to the basic specs of this device, it has a little bit over 1.5 kilowatt hours of storage capacity, and the AC inverter in it is rated at a continuous 1800 watts. And I'm going to discuss a test that I did shortly where it definitely lives up to that and actually exceeds my expectations when it comes to continuous wattage output. But nonetheless, it's a decently compact device that you see here. It actually only measures a little bit over 15 inches in length, around 9.5 inches in depth, and is roughly 12 inches tall. So it's pretty compact. In addition to that, for a power station that has a little bit over 1.5 kilowatt hours of storage capacity, it actually doesn't weigh all that much. I did put this power station on a scale, and I got a weight of 36.4 pounds. Nonetheless, the company's website does state 35.6 pounds for the weight of this device. So I don't know if my scale is inaccurate or what, but basically this weighs somewhere around 36 pounds, which compared to other devices that have similar storage capacity, this is generally a little bit lighter than those. So it's a good compact case, it's not all that heavy, and it has two big handles here on the top so it's easy to carry around. When it comes to battery technology, this device is powered by lithium iron phosphate batteries, and the company claims these are EV grade lithium iron phosphate batteries. They also state that you should be able to charge this device around 3,000 times and still maintain around 80% of the original battery capacity. So lithium iron phosphate batteries last a long time, they're very safe, and that's definitely one of the key factors that I look for in a portable power station like this, and it does have those batteries. With all that being said, moving to test results, one of the big tests that I like to put these portable power stations through is to see if it can actually run power tools. So here is me testing this with various power tools. So I have a DeWalt chop saw, I have a DeWalt table saw, and I have a reciprocating saw. I'm going to start with the reciprocating saw and just show that it can power that. Then we'll test the two saws behind me here. And we'll see here how well this does. Okay, so it had no problem at all running the reciprocating saw. Now let's move to the DeWalt chop saw. Okay, got my eye protection on, hearing protection. Let's see how it does here. So it cut through this board okay. I'm going to go ahead and move to a little bit thicker, denser board and see if it can cut through that just fine as well. Okay, so that time when I went to start the saw, it did turn off the AC inverter. So let me turn that back on. Okay, that should be good now. Let's try this again. Okay, so overall I'm pretty happy with that result. It looks like it does take a moment for the saw to build up speed a lot more than normal, but once it gets going, it was able to cut through both boards with no problem. So if it looks like you have kind of a smaller project, you just need to make a few cuts, this should be just fine. And for reference, this is a 12-inch blade DeWalt chop saw. Let's now see if it'll power the table saw behind me. Get the power station on here. Let's see if it's going to power this just fine. I'm going to try it one more time, another startup here, because it seems like the startup is what's hard for it. So let's try another startup. And I'll try one more startup. Okay, so yeah, that time it kicked off the inverter. Try this one last time here. Okay, not too bad with a power tool test. You know, I've tested power stations that won't even start a power tool like this, so I'm impressed with that, especially for a small little compact unit like this. The fact that it could run the table saw and the chop saw decently well. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you use this for the job site because, once again, with the chop saw, it took a little bit for the blade to get up to speed, and it does look like that every once in a while it is going to overload the AC inverter and shut it off, and you're going to have to reset it. So that would get annoying if you're trying to use it like on the job site. But if you just need it for a few cuts for your table saw or your chop saw, it looks like it does that fine, at least for the saws that I have here. It may not work for all table saws, all chop saws, but for what I have here, it seemed to be okay. One of the next tests I performed was a max output test for the AC inverter. So, as I stated early on in the video, this is rated, the AC inverter in this device is rated for a continuous 1800 watts of output, and there's kind of a discrepancy when it comes to the surge rating. So according to the owner's manual, it states that the maximum surge capacity is up to 2200 watts for a short period of time to get a device started. However, the company's website states that it can surge up to 3600 watts. Now, I'll talk about my results of my testing here and which one of those seems accurate. First of all, when it comes to the 1800 watts max output, this device can definitely do that. So I tested this with a heater and a cooktop, and I connected one of the video lights that I have on right now to this device. And I was able to get it at just a little bit over 1800 watts of AC output. And I let that run for a while, and it had no problem running a little bit over 1800 watts for a continuous period of time. Then another test that I did is I actually got this device at a little bit over 1930 watts of AC output, and I let that run for a period of time, and it didn't shut off either. I'm sure eventually, because that is over the stated capacity, that it would have turned off the AC inverter, but at the load and at the basic testing that I did, it seemed to run even a little bit over 1900 watts of continuous output, no problem. With that being said, I do want to address surge capacity. So once again, according to the owner's manual, this device can surge, the AC inverter can surge for a limited period of time up to 2200 watts to get a device started. And that seems to be accurate based on my tests. So when I tried to overload this device, the screen showed that it got up to a little bit over 2200 watts of output, and then the AC inverter shut off to protect itself. Once again, the website states 3600 watts of surge capacity, but I was not able to get anywhere near that. The device shut off just a little over 2200 watts. I'm actually even noticing here on the back of the power station, it has a little label here, and it does say peak power 2200 watts. So I believe once again that the 2200 watts, at least for the device that I have here, is accurate, but that's totally sufficient. And once again, it was actually able to run a chop saw, a table saw, and a reciprocating saw, so it does put out enough peak power to get those devices started. And it was able to run continuously over 1900 watts for a period of time there. Overall, I'm completely happy with that, but it looks like once again there is a discrepancy there with the website. Speaking of the AC inverter, I also put this through a full discharge test to see just how much of the battery capacity you can actually use, and that helps test the AC inverter efficiency. So as I've mentioned in past reviews of similar products, any AC inverter has a little bit of loss when it actually converts the power from the battery DC power to AC power. There's a little bit of a loss there. There's also a little bit of a loss when it comes to the cooling fans, keeping the system cool, and when all that comes into play, you're not actually able to use the exact amount of storage capacity that is stated on the label by the manufacturer. It may technically have that much storage capacity, but you're not able to actually use all of that in real-world applications. Now, I connected this device to a heater, turned it on high, and let it run, connected to the Cleanerwatt device, which monitored how much energy was being pulled from this device being used by that heater. During that full discharge test, I was able to use around 1.27 kilowatt hours of energy from this device before the AC inverter shut off. And do note that, like a previous device that was similar that I tested, there is about a 5% buffer built into this device because the AC inverter shut off at a 5% state of charge, what was stated on the screen, a 5% state of charge. So I believe that's a buffer built in by the manufacturer to keep the batteries from fully discharging to protect them. So if you do a little bit of math based on the actual usable storage capacity of this device, once again, it only allows you to use around 95% of the battery capacity. So 1.27 kilowatt hours is approximately 87% of the usable battery capacity of this device. That means with the AC inverter converting from DC to AC and with the fans running, there is about a 13% loss going from DC to AC out to your device. So that's not too bad. That's actually right in line with a lot of other devices that I've tested. With that being said, when running devices with this portable power station, once again, don't expect to get the full 1,536 watt hours out of it, but expect to get somewhere around 1,270 watt hours or around 1.27 kilowatt hours. And of course, that will go down a little bit with time, but lithium iron phosphate batteries degrade in most cases slower than other battery technologies and they last a long time. But nonetheless, that's a decent result, and I'm completely happy with that AC inverter efficiency result. Okay, let me talk about charging. So you can charge this device with an AC outlet, plug it in with a supplied cord, or you can charge it with solar. I first want to talk about charging it with an AC outlet. So according to the manufacturer, this is able to charge it up to 800 watts. And that's not the best that I've ever seen, but it's not bad at all. And it actually means that you can fully charge this device in somewhere around 2 hours. What I do really like about this device is when I plugged it in, even at a high state of charge, it was still charging at 800 watts right around there. It would fluctuate slightly over and slightly under, fluctuate a little bit. But this device has an extremely flat charging curve. At a low state of charge, it's able to charge at right around 800 watts, and at a high state of charge, it's able to charge at right around 800 watts. When it comes to charging this device with solar panels, it does actually come with this MC4 adapter here that you can plug into solar panels, and according to the manufacturer, this can accept up to 600 watts of solar input. Also, it does have a built-in MPPT solar charge controller. Now I want to go over a brief overview of this device. After around 3 minutes, the screen of the device will turn off. It's actually on right now. The device is on, but the screen has just timed out. To turn the screen back on, we just touch the power button. Screen comes on, and then across here, you have the buttons to turn on, for example, the AC inverter. You push that, the AC inverter turns on. If you push USB, the USB ports here turn on, and we have a USB-A, USB-C port, one of each. So those are built in. We also have DC ports here. So we have the car socket and we have the XT60 output right there. To turn those on, we push that. We do have 3 AC outlets here. And then when it comes to the side of the device, here is where you plug in the AC cord to charge it up. And there is a reset button there if you need to reset that for any reason. So that is right there. On this side, we have an XT60 input right there. This is where you'd plug in solar panels. And then we actually have a data cable spot right there. And I assume that's to update software at some point in the future if that's necessary. Okay, now I want to talk about UPS functionality, or uninterruptible power supply. So according to the manufacturer website on this, it has UPS functionality with, I think it says slightly less than a 20 millisecond response time. However, if you read the owner's manual of this device, they say that it doesn't technically have UPS mode, but it has EPS mode. And it makes a differentiation there, basically that it's not good to back up devices like servers or computers that are a little bit more sensitive and need a faster switchover time. So I would say this does not technically, according to the owner's manual, have UPS mode, but it does have a backup mode that allows you to keep devices powered and switch over from AC power to battery power somewhat seamlessly in around 20 milliseconds or so, maybe slightly under that. And I wouldn't once again use sensitive devices because the owner's manual makes that really clear. servers, computers, things like that, sensitive electronic devices, wouldn't necessarily be good to use plugged into this as a backup. But I'm going to do a quick test here with this air purifier and just demonstrate the switchover time here and to see if that's seamless. Okay, so right now this is charging at 799 watts. We're at an 82% state of charge. I'm going to go ahead and turn on this air purifier, and then I'm going to unplug the AC cord from this and see if it switches over immediately. So the fan didn't skip a beat. I didn't even hear a tone change in it, so that seems to work just fine. So for backing up basic devices, I think you're completely fine with that, to use it as that kind of EPS functionality, emergency power supply. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it back in and see if that continues on as it should. Okay, with the air purifier, that was completely seamless. I didn't hear the fan speed fluctuate at all, both in when I simulated a power outage and with the power coming back on, plugging it back in. That seemed to be completely fine. So that EPS functionality seems to work completely fine with a quick switchover. But once again, for really sensitive electronic devices, the owner's manual states that you shouldn't use this device for that. One other thing I need to mention is that on the website it states that there is phone app connectivity for this device, but that's actually not the case right now. Maybe it's going to come in the future, but right now there is no phone app connectivity to this device. So everything that you need to monitor, you're just going to have to monitor on the screen itself, which is completely fine. Okay, now to wrap up my general impression of the device. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It puts out a continuous 1800 watts of power, no problem. The AC inverter efficiency is completely sufficient. I like that it's pretty compact for the amount of battery capacity that it has in it. And once again, I like that it has lithium iron phosphate batteries. In addition to that, this device does come with a 3-year limited warranty. And that combined with the lithium iron phosphate batteries, I believe you'll be able to use this device for a long period of time. And I believe it is a good device overall. Yes, there are a few discrepancies based on what the website states and what the owner's manual states, but if you just go off what the owner's manual states and you go off what the plate here on the back says, it lives up to those expectations. If you are interested in purchasing this device, click the link in the video description and make sure to use coupon code WATT10 to save 10% off your purchase. And this coupon code drops the price from $699 to a little bit over $629. And I do want to say thank you to AMPAURA for sponsoring this video. Until next time, thanks for watching.